Well, as we move closer to the start of the 2024-25 OHL season, I figured we've had a lot of great discussions so far about potential OHL expansion and whether or not certain communities would work. So I wanted to continue that, this time taking a look at York Region, because a lot of comments in the expansion video that I posted 2 weeks ago brought up Thunder Bay. So I did the Thunder Bay video, and another community was Markham and York Region. So let's dive into it. Could the OHL work in York Region? Well, there's only been one other team to have ever called York Region home, and that was the Newmarket Royals. They were only there for 2 seasons. You could kind of call the experiment in York Region a bit of a letdown with the way things were. It was the Newmarket Royals. They relocated from Cornwall following some mismanagement in the tail end of their history in Eastern Ontario. So when they arrived in Newmarket, they would play at the Ray Twinney Complex, which was built in 1985. It only had a capacity of 3,700, and it kind of feels like you're playing in a barn, very similar to the Brantford Civic Center. And Brantford's a whole other conversation because right now that city is looking to build a new arena, but this is focusing on York Region and Newmarket in particular. So in those 2 seasons, they made the playoffs in their first year, where they ended up losing in 7 games to the Sudbury Wolves. And I was just looking back at some of the stories coming from that playoff series, and apparently it was pretty heated between the two teams. But that's the only playoff time this the town of Newmarket got to experience in the OHL, because in their second OHL season, they set a record as the first team in CHL history to go winless in all of their road games, and ended up missing the playoffs by quite a large margin. And then because of attendance issues and then the team struggles, the team ended up being sold and then relocated to Sarnia, where they're now the Sarnia Sting. So the Newmarket experience, very short lived, but I wanted to look at who were the top scorers from those 2 seasons. Well, leading the way with the Newmarket Royals was Jeff Reed, 36 goals, 70 assists, 106 points. Mark DeSantis was second in franchise scoring, 19 goals, 70 assists, 89 points. Nathan Lafayette was third overall, 49 goals, 38 assists, 87 points. Matt Hogan, 34 goals, 47 assists, 81 points. And then Todd Walker was fifth in scoring for Newmarket with 33 goals, 46 assists, 79 points. For goalie wins, Rob Dykeman, he had 12 during those 2 seasons with the Newmarket Royals, and that ended up being the most wins for any goaltender with the Newmarket Royals. So it was really tough going, and really not a great sign for OHL hockey in Newmarket or even York Region, because if you consider the OHL has been in its current existence for 44 years, the only time they ever tried the York Region market was Newmarket. So when you look at York Region, they do have the population. So if they were to maybe consider the idea of putting a team in that area, they have a population of 1.25 million people. So you can really see the growth in the skyline in some of the cities like Markham and Vaughan, where the condos are just popping up here, there, and everywhere. And when you look at, you compare it to populations around Ontario, the city of Markham is seventh for population. That was in the 2021 census, followed by Vaughan, which is eighth. Richmond Hill comes in 12th. And then the town of Newmarket is 30th in population in Ontario at the time of the 2021 census. So the population is there, but we kind of have that as well with Peel Region. And we've seen how that's gone since 1998 when they had the expansion of both Brampton and Mississauga. And then it's kind of been a shell game of who's playing in Mississauga, who's playing in Brampton, because now we're down to just the Brampton Steelheads going into the new season. So that would be a big question mark. Would York Region support junior hockey, or would it be the same as what we're dealing with in Peel Region, where attendance keeps being brought up as a topic of discussion when it comes to junior hockey in that market? But attendance, it was a discussion at the time as well in Newmarket. Apparently, their attendance was not that great at the Ray Twinney complex when you had the Newmarket Royals. And even for Tier 2, they had the Newmarket Hurricanes. They ended up leaving in 2019, and the owner at the time said they were leaving because of attendance problems. And they couldn't even get enough billet families for their players. So that's why the Hurricanes ended up moving to Milton in the OJHL, and they haven't had a team back since. So Is junior hockey something that could flourish in Newmarket if maybe they had better facilities, or is it just it's a suburb of Toronto, and just like Peel Region, they're Toronto Maple Leaf fans and not necessarily junior hockey fans. So that's a big factor. But then the other is, where would a team play? Because there's not an arena that's probably capable of hosting an OHL team in all of York Region. If you look at Markham, you have the Centennial Community Center. It only has a capacity of 2,300. It's currently the home of the Markham Royals of the OJHL. So 2,300, well below what the OHL would consider a suitable sized facility. Markham, though, it was interesting about 10 years ago in 2012, it came out that the city was looking at a private public partnership to build a 20,000 seat arena to potentially bring the NHL to the city of Markham. They would be an expansion team, a second team in the GTA, but of course, those plans kind of fizzled out. Frank Scarpitti, the mayor of Markham, actually put his support behind the plan, but it just never really went anywhere. It's that's the only time that we ever really saw in the last 20 years the city of Markham consider building a large arena, and of course, a 20,000 seat facility would probably be a little too much capacity when it comes to the Ontario Hockey League, as we've seen with other facilities in the OHL. But still, that's really the only talk of ever building a larger venue in the city of Markham. Then you look at the city of Vaughan. They don't have a proper facility to host an OHL team. The Vaughan Kings, from what I can tell, play a majority of their home games outside of the city of Vaughan. And the Vaughan Kings have had a lot of great talent come through that organization, which of course feeds into the Ontario Hockey League. So Vaughan would have to build a new arena if they would ever want to host an OHL team. Richmond Hill, you have the Elgin Barrow Arena, and the bowl capacity is up to 1,500. So just like Markham, well below what is a good capacity for the Ontario Hockey League. And then, of course, back to Newmarket, the Ray 20. We've already seen what that arena is capable of. Of course, built in 1985. It lacks those modern amenities that a lot of the OHL teams like to have, like the private boxes and other areas that can generate extra revenue for a junior hockey team. So the Ray 20, it's got the capacity, but it would need a lot of upgrades. So with that in mind, I'm almost wondering if the OHL is ever going to try York Region. They would have to play in Newmarket. That would be similar to what we saw at the Niagara Ice Dogs when they arrived in St. Catharines. They played out of the Jack Gatecliff Arena, which had a capacity of 3,500. But the idea was the team would play out of that arena for about 5 seasons, and then the promise would be they would have a new arena to call home. And eventually, they got the Meridian Center in St. Catharines, and the Niagara Ice Dogs look pretty solid in play in that city. So it would have to be very similar. You would put the team at the Ray 20 in Newmarket, and then as a region, they would have to build a new arena that would be suitable for the Ontario Hockey League if it's going to work in York Region. So I think this is a very risky option for the region. Right now, their regional council is trying to address the housing shortage and trying to focus on transit. So I don't know if they have that extra money right now to go towards an arena. So would OHL hockey work in the York Region? Maybe if they had a proper facility. But right now, how it looks, I don't think that's even on their radar to build a new arena. I think it would be great to have a team in York Region to fit the schedule, adding another team to the GTA, but it's the attendance and the venue that's holding up back a team in York Region potentially. That's how I see it from the booth. Let me know in the comments section down below your thoughts. Do you think maybe the OHL would work in York Region? Is it something that should be explored maybe a little bit more? Love to see the interactions. And yes, we are only a few weeks away from the start of OHL training camp. The Hlinka Gretzky tournament well underway. So we do have some hockey to watch now, which is some exciting stuff. So again, thank you very much for all your support. Thanks to those who have hit subscribe already. Love to see the interactions and all your support. If you haven't hit subscribe yet, you can do so. Feel free. If not, it's okay too. This is just a channel dedicated to talking about OHL hockey and just all the ins and outs with the league, even when we're talking about speculation and like expansion and whatnot. So again, thank you very much for all your support. Talk to you again soon.